Thank you, James. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to move item 3 to number 1, and here's why. In the previous council session, you heard me talk about ethics and the duty of care this council has to you, the public. Your city council, my colleagues and I, have failed you in this regard. On December 13th of last year, the first session of the new council, a citizen called on Mayor Sticks to recuse herself on all matters concerning Simply Ojai due to concerns over conflicts of interest with that organization and its principles. Mayor Sticks ignored the call.
Just a minute, Mr. City Attorney, we've already addressed this, so.
No, I have.
Could we please have quiet from the audience? Thank you. Go ahead.
So as I understand it, Councilmember Rule is in the process of making a motion to adjust the agenda item,
That is correct.
but I would assume that motion will not disclose any closed session information.
It will not disclose anything that should not be disclosed. That is correct.
That is not what I said. It will not disclose any closed session information.
It will not disclose anything that is illegal to disclose. That is correct.
It will not disclose any information discussed in closed session.
It will not discuss any information that is illegal for me to discuss publicly. It will not. That is correct.
All right.
Okay.
Let's continue.
Thank you. Mayor Sticks ignored the call. We moved on, and soon after, we adjourned for a closed session. Almost immediately, the mayor requested that council hire an outside law firm to get a new set of eyes
All right.
to review.
Councilmember Rule, that
Yes.
is closed session discussion information.
That's fine, but I have 3 relevant statutory exceptions that permit their disclosure. One is confidentially reporting information of perceived violations of the law to the district attorney is protected.
Councilmember Rule,
yes.
that exception allows for confidential
I'm
reports to
not
the district
finished.
attorney.
I'm not finished with the other
That
2.
exception does not apply to anything you're
I'm
discussing
not
now.
finished with the other 2. Thank you, though.
All right, your
The
next 2.
disclosure expresses an opinion regarding the improprieties or illegalities in a closed session.
That opinion, however, cannot disclose the information that is the basis of it.
Or
You can do so with the
disclosure
district
is
attorney, but not-
justified on the basis that this information is not confidential. Last, just as attorney-client privilege may not generally be used to further a crime, neither can closed sessions. Because of that, my disclosures are not only permissible, they fulfill a public policy interest in exposing and punishing elected officials who engage in improprieties and potential criminal activity.
Councilmember Rule,
All
you
I
are
am
not
doing-
the district attorney, you are not the jury, nor the judge. You are not
Neither
empowered
are
to
you.
make those decisions.
Neither are
not.
you. Neither are
No one
you.
in this room is
I
empowered
disagree
to
with
disclose
you.
closed session information.
I disagree with
No
you.
one in this room
I
is
disagree
empowered
with
to do
you.
so.
I disagree with you.
As you noted, the exceptions are to allow
I disagree
disclosure
with you.
confidentially to the district attorney.
I
You may
disagree
do
with
so
you.
Via letter or other method. I
I
will be
disagree
happy to
with
give
you.
you.
So
the
I am going-
phone number.
so I am
As
going-
the chair of this, I would like to defer to our city attorney, and then we can decide this later.
And I will make a motion to overrule that decision by council vote.
So the chair's directive is to rule you out of order. You've made a motion to overrule that. That is in order. Is there a second for that motion?
I'm not clear on the motion. I was prepared for a motion to move item 3 to 2.
So as I understand the motion on the table, it is by Councilmember Rule to,
Override the
Continue.
mayor's,
the motion is to override the mayor's directive that
Correct.
Councilmember Rule cease speaking.
correct,
And that's the motion on the table.
That is
That motion
correct.
requires a second.
correct, to cease speaking. The mayor has made a motion to have me cease
Or
speaking,
ruled out of order, as is the proper phrase. The motion
Wherever
is
it goes.
the chair's actions to rule you out of order regarding your attempted disclosure of closed session information. You have appealed that ruling of the chair to the council, which is in
Correct.
order.
Correct.
That appeal requires a second. Is
Okay.
there a second?
Is what she is what council member Rule is asking, is it legal?
In my opinion, it is not.
And in my attorney's opinion, it is. In my attorney's opinion, it is.
I received your attorney's opinion about 2 minutes ago.
That's
and quickly
irrelevant to
reviewing
me.
it. I disagree with it. Nonetheless, my advice to city council, as your city attorney, is that the action proposed to be taken by Councilmember Rule is unlawful.
And I would ask the council to go ahead and let me speak. That's what I would ask the council.
Understood. That motion requires a second. Is there a second?
Yes.
Is there
Madam
a
Mayor?
second?
I'm not comfortable to second something that's not legal. There might be another way that we can meet in order to
The council could discuss the matter in a closed session and decide whether or not to waive the relevant privileges by majority vote. That would be an option.
Okay.
I'm asking for a second by the council members.
I defer to the mayor as chair. Is there a second?
Is there a second? I don't hear one.
I am with Souza that I don't feel like I can second something if it's not legal and I don't know. I am with Souza in that, or Councilmember Francina, in that I cannot second something if I'm unclear whether or not it's legal and I do not know the legalities of this. And so I would make a motion to discuss this in closed session.
I would second that motion.
So I would understand that to be a substitute motion to discuss the matter in closed session. The closed session that I heard a second, the council could approve that. That closed session could not be held tonight. I don't see a basis to do so on an emergency basis. So we will schedule that for a subsequent meeting soon.
Okay, and we need to vote on that.
We would need a vote,
Okay,
yes.
all
I would like
all
to
in-
make an
all in-
amendment to that, if
That
I
would
could.
Be in order.
I would like to make an amendment, to have my council people reassess their vote, because there is a legal disagreement about whether or not this is legal. And there is no ostensible penalty. This is how silence is kept. Closed session, illegal, can't talk about it, not true. Not true. Our sessions were not legally noticed. They were not legally noticed. They were illegally noticed. They were noticed under the wrong government code. Clearly, there was no litigation discussed in half of those closed sessions, and it was noticed under litigation, pending litigation. There's only three pending litigations, and never were any of those pending litigations discussed in this closed session with any direct relevance. Clearly, they were. So I am telling my council members that I feel I am on strong legal grounds here to make this motion. And it is the nature of closed sessions to shut you up and to keep things out of the public's ear. That is problematic. If you can't talk about what's in closed session, that's not relevant to closed session, you see the problem. All you need to do is bring things up in closed session, and then then ostensibly you can never talk about them.
Well, we have a motion, we have an amendment, correct?
Right, there's an amendment on the floor. I also would ask, is there a second for the amendment? And I'm not sure that I heard one.
Could I have a second for the amendment?
I have a question.
Of
My
course.
understanding is that we often go into closed session and then what we discuss is made public.
At the right time and the right way, of course. Once the council majority has made direction, and that direction is either immediately reportable action, as in some cases, or is itself made public when the action is taken. In other words, to use an example, if the council meets in closed session regarding initiation of litigation and decides to initiate litigation, the report out is a council-directed initiation of litigation. Then, once the lawsuit is filed, then that is itself a public action. It depends on what the action is taken and when it's made public. I'm not going to discuss when the closed session actions that were discussed were made public, because that would reveal the nature of the closed session discussions themselves. But I will reiterate that the city's position is very plain, that all of the closed sessions that it has held since the new council took office have been lawful.
Have we discussed pending litigation?
Yes, in every closed session.
That is incorrect. That is
That is
absolutely.
false, and we're not going to discuss the details of why that's false.
Okay, we have an amendment. Is there a second to that? Okay, so we will go back to the original motion, correct?
So the main motion then on the table is to defer discussion of this matter and Councilmember Rule's accusations into a closed session,
Closed session.
which can be held under initiation or under threat of litigation from Councilmember Rule's lawyer. Councilmember Rule will be excluded from that closed session, and that can be held as the council can make the scheduling work on at least 24 hours notice.
I didn't understand what you just said.
Happy to repeat it. So,
Did I hear you say she would be excluded from? the
yes, Councilmember Rule has threatened to sue the city. She will be excluded from the closed session discussion of that matter.
So we have a motion to take this to closed session.
Correct.
Do we have a second for that?
And that was Councilmember Lang's motion,
Thank you.
and there was a second by Councilmember Francina. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Francina.
Okay,
So that motion could be voted upon as direction for future agenda items.
okay. All in favor?
Well, I'm in favor. I'll call you tomorrow, Matt.
Okay, all in
Of
favor?
course.
and
Yeah.
It was your motion, your second,
Mhm.
all in favor,
If I could speak to Councilmember Rule's amendment just for a moment. If I could speak to Councilmember Rule's amendment for just a moment. I think we all want to have transparency. We all want to have some of the division that exists in this city in this room. I think we all have a deep desire to do what is best for the community. And where my concern is that if there are legalities about the things that we've said in closed session that could put the city in jeopardy, I would want to do everything I can to protect us. And I don't know what those are. And so I would need more information before I were to
Okay.
follow up with your amendment.
Okay, very good. That is absolutely, understandable. You know, the Becker agreement, I will just say, is not pending litigation.
let's,
Okay, it is not pending litigation.
we have a
So
motion.
keep that in mind.
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
We could have Weston do a voice vote, perhaps.
Okay,
Maybe
Weston, you wanna do a roll call,
Yes, ready, Mayor.
please? Thank you.
Wait a second.
So you seconded, so you're.
Can we clarify what we're voting on here?
The motion is to defer Councilmember Rule's accusations to a closed session to be scheduled as soon as we can, minimum 24 hours notice, for the 4 members of the council to consider in closed session.
And Councilmember Rule not to be there.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Roll call, please, Weston?
Councilmember Rule,
No,
Councilmember Lang,
come on.
I'm not comfortable to not have her be in the closed session, but that's because you're saying that she's threatening to sue the city? Am I hearing that right?
That,
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. That is incorrect. There's nothing that says in that letter from my attorney. It just gave you justification for why I could speak on closed session. It did not say that we would sue the city. It gave you
Well,
sound legal
again,
reasoning.
any letter regarding a matter for which you have put yourself adverse to the city, including by hiring separate counsel and having that counsel send a letter making accusations to the council majority, put yourself at odds with the city.
It
not a direct threat of litigation,
it
it
did
is a
not
common law
threaten
bias
litigation.
situation.
Did not threaten
This is
litigation.
not time for this discussion.
It did
Could we
not.
please finish the roll call, Weston?
I'm in need of Councilmember Lang's response.
I vote yes to have this in a closed session. And if this does not involve any kind of lawsuit,
It does not.
I would
Never did.
If I could speak to that, Councilmember Rule cannot be in the closed session because she has taken a position adverse to the city. You cannot, Mr. Drucker is not in order.
Mr.
Madam
Drucker,
Mayor.
if you could be quiet or leave the room, please. Can we continue the roll call, Weston?
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Fancina,
I'm gonna abstain.
Mayor Sticks,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on, we will have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?